For joining up. Can you explain me what are your roles and responsibilities as a BA?
Okay. So as a business analyst, they have to identify the business problem and understand the requirements of the problem and design a solution. While being a license between IT and development team, IT and the business management team during this entire process. So that is their major responsibility.
Okay. So in that case, if you're starting a project from scratch, right? What are the techniques you use to gather the requirements?
So like the illustration techniques.
Right. You need to tell me like what are the different techniques you use to gather the requirements. Yes.
Yeah. So to gather requirements, we have multiple techniques. So we can use brainstorming, focus group, one-on-one interviews, workshops, questionnaires, surveys, document analysis. So these are some techniques we can use to gather the requirements.
Okay, what are the difference between focus group and brainstorming?
Okay, so brainstorming is something where we'll discuss about a lot of topics regarding the system, like what are we going to for the requirement gathering, like what are the things we need to achieve. So there will be a lot of ideas which will be put in the brainstorming. So in focus group, it will consist of people who is involved in the process, and we'll discuss in the particular topic which we need to proceed with the requirement gathering.
Okay. Do you know what is prototyping?
Yeah. Prototyping is basically showing a mock-up of how a system should look like, or any feature or functionality should look like. I guess that's prototyping.
Okay.
Like in the initial cases, to show them, to show the stakeholder or the client how the feature is going to look. So like a mock representation, we have to show them. That is prototyping.
Okay. Do you know what is SWOT analysis?
Strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. So SWOT analysis is basically, I think, it is used to when do during the initial planning of the process, we use SWOT analysis to understand what are the strengths, weakness, and also from that we'll derive the opportunities and what are the threats involved in that process for the particular project.
Can give me an example for SWOT analysis?
So example like so considering if a client is coming to us for the website development for their company, so in that actually I'm not able to put it up as an example. Can you help me with that?
Yeah, sure. I can tell you. So for example, you can strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat, right? So for example, you have as you said that so a stakeholder wants to create a website. So what can be the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat, okay, in that creation of a website? So you can say the strength can be like he's able the user is able to achieve like so many things, right? They can able to log in, they're able to purchase and all that. That is going to be the strength. So but when it comes to SWOT analysis, and practically how we will do is, I will tell you how we will do. When usually when there is an issue like post deployment is when we use the SWOT analysis. So it's not I wouldn't say that it is an appropriate technique to gather the requirements, but practically like when we will use SWOT analysis, or when we do SWOT is once we deploy the code to production and then we have some post deployment issues, that's when we do the SWOT analysis actually. So we call the stakeholders and all the developers and testers, and immediately we have a SWOT call to understand that okay, we deployed this to production and now we have a problem now, production issue now. So we have to discuss like why this happened.
Okay.
So so from that, right, after discussing that, right, from that you need to like document, like going forward in next sprint or something, like how can we avoid those. So practically in reality, that's how we do SWOT analysis.
Okay.
It's not that you are like scheduling a call with stakeholders and then doing SWOT like earlier. No, that's not. In reality, we don't do that. In reality, it's like once you deploy and you have post-deployment issues, that's when you have SWOT.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Let's discuss about documentation. So can you tell me like what kind of documents you have created?
I have actually not created any document, but I have gone through some like examples from internet for like business requirement document, use case document.
Okay. Can you tell me what is BRD? How we should document a BRD?
So BRD is basically high level representation of any requirements for the stakeholders or users to understand it. So there, in BRD, we'll document the table of contents. It will be the requirements in high level representation. Like if we want to create a food delivery app, okay. The requirement will be like we need a login page and all those things. The each features in a very like not elaborative way, but in a very descriptive way, will mention the BRD. And also the people involved, who are the business owners, all the people involved in the entire process, everything will be present in the BRD.
Okay. So
And also the functionality engines, functionality, non-functionality requirements, and the out of scope and scope works, all those things.
all that you will document. Okay. So what is RTM? Have you created an RTM?
Sorry?
What is RTM? Yeah.
RTM? No, I'm not sure about that.
Requirement traceability matrix. Have you heard of that?
Okay. Yeah. I've heard about requirement traceability matrix. So I guess it's the document to trace the status of any requirements in what current state it is. I think that is what.
Right. Yeah. So earlier we used to like track requirements using an Excel document, right? So do you know what like currently like what tools are available for that or?
Yeah, Jira.
Okay, so you have
That's
experience
what
with
I'm
Jira?
aware of. Yeah, I actually saw your video and I learned about Jira.
Okay.
Basic.
Okay. So are you aware of waterfall or agile methodology? What's the difference?
Yeah. Waterfall methodology we use where we know the requirements, like we know this is what the requirement is and there'll be no change in the requirements. But in Agile we use mostly in very where the requirements must be maybe changing, or when the customer demands that when the people demand that we need the project in the Agile methodology. So in Agile, the changes can be made because it's very incremental and iterative. So even if there's any changes, it can be documented properly. But in Waterfall, the changes cannot be implemented properly. It's not possible in Waterfall.
Okay, so what is sprint? Can you explain me the timelines for sprint?
Okay. Sprint is basically a duration we take to complete a process. So sprint can be from I think 2 weeks to 4 weeks. That is 30 days. So that will be the duration of any sprint.
Okay, so in every sprint, right? Suppose let's say that your project have a 2 week sprint. Okay, so in then such a short amount of time, how will you, as a business analyst, how will you make sure the developer is developing correctly and tester is testing the requirements correctly? As a BA, like how will you make sure within 2 weeks?
Okay. If it's a 2 weeks sprint, we have to make sure the requirements and everything are given to them properly in first place. And then we have to continuously monitor the sprint review meeting. Everything should be very often, so that we keep in track if everything is going in line and in line with the client's needs. So that is how we check if it is going in proper line.
Okay. What is everyday status call or scrum meeting? Do you know what happens in that meeting?
In a Scrum meeting, okay. So in Scrum meeting, I think every people involved in the development team, the business analyst, everything will be involved, and Scrum Master takes responsibility for the meeting, and all the status of the whatever the requirement is there, and whatever the things that has to be developed, all those things, the status of everything will be discussed in the Scrum meeting. Also, what has to be done in the next sprint and everything.
Next sprint or next day?
Next sprint.
No. Scrum, I mean, daily stand-up meeting or Scrum meeting, we can say that it happens
Oh,
every,
Scrum meeting is like daily meeting is what you call Scrum.
yeah, Scrum calls
Okay,
or everyday status meeting or daily stand-ups. You can use any of
I
these
got.
terminologies. You
Sure.
can, so that is like a day, early morning, you can have a call like for 30
Hmm.
minutes so that everybody gives the status of their user stories.
I got it confused with sprint planning and Scrum.
Right. Now, so what is sprint planning, review, and retrospective? What are the differences?
Okay, sprint planning is what we basically what we are planning. Say sprint is for 1 week or 2 weeks. We'll very detailedly plan what is going to be happening in each sprint. The sprint review is whatever happened in the sprint. We have to review like if everything has gone well according to the plan. Sprint retrospective is along with the only the team which is involved in the development and the BA to see what are the pros and cons. So that is sprint retrospective.
Right. So sprint planning is mostly you will be like prioritizing all the user stories. You'll be grooming all the user
Mm.
stories. Whereas sprint
Mm.
review is difference between review and retrospective is review is like all the stakeholders will be involved. Okay, they'll be in the meeting.
Mm.
Whereas retrospective is like only it's internal to your team.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's get into user stories. Can you tell me like, how a good user story should look like? What's the format?
Good user story should look like the maximum of 3 lines. It should be not like so elaborative. It should be crisp and short, where it conveys the message. Also, it should be from a user point of view. Like as a user, I want to log into this page. This is like with these specifications. Like that, we have to. It should be crisp. So that is our user story.
Okay. So when you gather the requirements and convert into user stories, how do you do? What's the
Mm.
process?
Um.
So
Okay.
business owners
Mm.
are going to give you like in a very high level, whereas developers are
Mm.
expecting
Yeah.
some technique. They want
Exactly.
technically, right? So you will be that
Yeah.
bridge who has to
Mm.
like get the requirements in a high level, like non-technical from non-technical person, and you have to convert those
Mm.
requirements in a user story so that a technical person can understand that, right?
Yeah.
So how are you going to do that?
So, we should have an understanding of what the requirement is, and we'll also from the BRD document, we'll know what is the exact thing we want to develop, and also we'll also collect the detail of what has to be done. Like, say, for example, if you're creating an account, the name should be in this much characters, and password, the characters of the password, and everything. So all those we'll be collecting. So. All those things we have to show in the user story so that it will be easy for the developers to get it.
Okay. So what is acceptance criteria? How will you write an acceptance criteria?
Acceptance criteria is like a basic requirement that is met so that the stakeholder accepts the solution. Like example, like a website, if it's when you're entering, if it's it has to load the home page and everything. So that will be the acceptance criteria, the first acceptance criteria when you're clicking on the link and opening the website. Okay, this is what that should appear. So if it is appearing, okay, that is like a acceptance criteria.
Okay.
So which means it's working. Mm.
What's the difference between epic, story, task, and a defect?
Okay, epic is a high level requirement, like what process we are going to create. It's like a high level requirement. Stories are user stories which involves the detailed requirement stories, like what all need to be done. Task is what for each one, what has to be developed, what task has to be done and completed. That is task. What else was it? Defect,
Defect,
right? The
yeah.
other one.
Yes.
Defect, I'm not sure.
Defect means bug. Okay.
Uh,
So any
okay, fine. In bug or issue is there, it has to be
yeah, that
recorded
is
there.
defect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you create a user story and let's assume you have groomed it very well, it's ready to develop. Okay, now we have to give story points. Based upon what are the factors? Okay, we give story points. Can you explain me what are the different story points and what is the weightage of each value?
Story points might be basically on the weightage of what the task is. So if it's a task which involves like a major developing, of course, it requires more story points. So story point is basically a measurement they use to measure instead of hours. Like one story point is 8 hours. So in that way they measure it. So depending on the weightage of the task, it is basically assigned. Like I said, if it is a big development process, according to that, more story points will be assigned. If it's a simple like any modification or bugs or anything, very less will be assigned.
Okay, got it. Okay, let's assume that you have a very difficult stakeholder and you're trying to like get the requirements, but he's not cooperating or he's not able to tell you in a way that you can document. Okay, so how are you going to fix that? And he's a very important stakeholder, so you cannot ignore him. What will you do in such situation?
Okay. In first place, we have to anyway do our own research on what we're going to talk about or what we're going to document. So that will be the first. And then if they're being a difficult stakeholder, first we need to have like a very, our approach should be very diplomatic and polite. And also we should be transparent in whatever is going on, and in a one-on-one conversation, we should try to explain them and show them what exactly is. And if he's being difficult, the most we could do is being polite and be transparent with all the works and everything.
Okay, what are the techniques you use to like make sure that your story isn't ready? So, for example, when we say ready, what is the definition of ready? When you say your user story is ready, okay, for development, what is the definition of that? What does it mean?
Um, I guess for the developer to, if it is understandable and if they are ready to do it, that is when we say it is ready.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So user story is said to be ready when all the requirements, all the description, okay, especially description is able to be like anybody who reads them must be able to understand, and the developer and tester is absolutely ready to develop that. Like they have no issue, they have no questions going forward. That's the meaning, readiness. Okay. What's the definition of done? When you say a user story is done, okay, what does it mean?
User story is that when that particular requirement in the user story is performed successfully, that is when we say it is done.
Right. So in order to complete that user story, right, have you performed that UAT test, user acceptance testing?
No, yeah, like when that particular feature is done, when we test it, if it is working properly, that's when we say it's done. Like I have not performed any UATs.
Mm-hmm. So can you tell me like how a UAT document should look like and how will you coordinate with stakeholders to complete a UAT?
So UAT document should be like, first of all, we should whatever the feature which has to successfully look like, that should be present. Like example, a login page. Then if it's a food delivery app, the what the adding foods to the cart and checking out, payment method, everything. So all those each detail should be documented, and also the people responsible for that. And this should be all these things. And after doing the user accepted testing, the stakeholder, whoever is in charge, has to that he also has to give authorization that is this working fine. So after that, in that way, user accepted testing document will be present, the authorization of the stakeholder, and if everything is performed, if it is failed, or if there is any bug, or if it is done successfully, all those details.
Oh, okay. Why getting UAT sign off is very critical for a BA?
Because we are doing the requirement according to the client's needs. There we cannot design according to our needs. That's why their authorization is very important, so that it is developed according to their needs. Or it will be a problem after the work is done, and if they have not seen that, then if that is not what they want, then it will be very big problem.
Right. So getting the sign off is very important, right? So that's a proof. That's
Yeah.
like a proof that we have, like the stakeholders have agreed to whatever we have produced. Okay. So let's get into testing. So have you done any kind of, other than UAT, have you done any kind of testing? Do you have any experience?
I have experience in unit testing. I've performed the unit testing in Java,
Okay.
and that is what.
Okay. Tell me, like during testing, what are the type of defects or bugs you have found? What are the different types of bugs or defects?
Um, for me, like I actually worked in a network element system. So I created a entire unit testing for a module called fault. So in that, while testing, the major things were the input, the parameter we're passing, the input was not right. It was only those kind of bugs is what I faced. The input we
Okay.
have given is not right. Those kinds of things only have done.
Okay. So during UAT, when the stakeholders they found critical defects, do you know how to fix it, or what are the measures you took to fix it? Do you have experience on that?
No,
Okay.
not sure.
Yeah, that's
Can
fine.
you help me
Yeah,
out?
so in UAT we have three types. One is critical, and then major, minor, and then high. So critical in the sense, it needs to be fixed within a day. So that is critical issue. So for example, like you said, like you are creating a login page when you're not even able to log in, that's critical, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a point of doing that. So, for example, if it's medium, is like you're able to log in and all that, but the at the end, maybe the first the user's first name, right? That is a mismatch. That the characters are not good. So that those are um minor issues, but critical in the sense when you are not able to proceed at all the testing. That is usually critical.
Okay.
And you have to, the developer has to fix it in order to do like the next phase of testing itself. With critical defects, nobody's going to give you the sign off. Yes. So the timeline for critical issues is like 24 hours, whereas for medium, it can be 2 business days, or if it is like very low, it can be 3 business days.
Okay.
We have to fix within those days, and then again the business owners have to test it. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
So those are the three kind of defects, and that's how we fix it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's get into domain knowledge also. Do you have any kind of specific domain knowledge?
The different like healthcare and everything.
Yeah, right.
No, still I haven't
Okay.
started that.
Do you know about healthcare BA?
No, I still haven't started the domain knowledge.
Okay. So okay, let me stop the recording.
Okay.